Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Welcome to a brand new episode of the NewsX and Business World panels on the Indian economy and the stimulus package that has, of course, been announced by the government of India. Let me, in fact, open it up to our panelists who are joining us. As always, we have a very special panel for their interpretation of what the government has done so far and also the opportunities which are available for India at this point. What all needs to be done by entrepreneurs and companies in India to take advantage of the situation to hopefully emerge as a superpower, emerge back to our high growth trajectory in this post COVID-19 world. Joining us is Anil Singh from Procam International Private Limited. In fact, he's the managing director of Procam International Private Limited. We also have Sam Balsara of Madison Communications Private Limited. He's the chairman, in fact, of Madison World. Dr. D.K. Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director of Felix Hospital, joins us as well. Ms. Savita Raj Hiramat, Director, Tanda Film Entertainment Private Limited, is live with us. Rajiv Kumar Vij, Chairman and Managing Director, Cars on Rent India Private Limited, also joins our panel. Vishram Sekand, founder at Goals 101. Goals 101 is also with us. He's also, of course, an alumni of the Harvard Business School. And we have Dr. Anurag Batra, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief, Business World and Exchange for Media Group, joining us as well. Mr. Balsara, let me begin with you first. What do you make of the announcements made by the government so far? Will their stimulus reap dividends? What have been the thumbs up from you to their plans and their announcements? And what else remains to be done on their part? You'll have to unmute yourself, sir, if you can. Yeah, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
So, well, I would give a thumbs up to the package, but I would give a thumbs up to it as a reforms package and not a stimulus package. I believe it's a very good reforms package, and especially I'm no economist, but the way I have understood it is that it's going to do a lot of good for India's hinterland. And this does mean that, in the short term, which is 2 to 3 years, I think one can expect to see greater prosperity in the smaller towns and rural areas, which I think is very good news for marketers and for the country as a whole. However, unfortunately, the way I see it is that, the global economy is a demand-based economy. The world produces a lot more of everything, much more than actually what the world consumes. In addition, all of us consume a lot more than what we actually need. So really the world turns round, the economy turns round because only when people buy to meet not their needs but their desires. And I believe this package does not do anything to stimulate that demand. In the last 2 months, we have all been used to buying only what we really need, the bare essentials. If we continue like this, forget India, the whole world will collapse. So unfortunately, I think the way I understand it, India has not done enough to get that demand back into the market. Only when that demand comes back will things normalize in our economy and we'll see our GDP growing again.
Okay. So the focus needs to be on demand creation is what you're clearly saying, and that's not been done so far. Now, how should that be done? Because the RBI has announced a host of liquidity measures. That's not enough in your view. What further needs to be done then?
And Sam, you come from the media services advertising domain. What should be done to get advertisers to spend more? Should advertising be given more tax break? Should advertising expenditure should be in some way, incentivized? Companies should be incentivized to advertise. What can be, because advertising can create demand. So I would like to know that from you.
One of the strong recommendations that we made to the government on behalf of 3As of I, and I thought that was an extremely sensible suggestion, and that would not have costed the government too much, is to allow advertisers to amortize advertising expenditure made in the current year, that is 2021, over say the next 3 years. You see, whilst the enlightened advertisers know that, to stimulate demand, you need advertising and you need to be always on. For example, I was very encouraged to hear the views of Amit Singhal of Asian Paints. He recently said that, marketing is not like you spend money when you can afford to spend.
It's part
Marketing is not that simple. You have to be on all the time and you have to connect with your consumers all the time. Now, while some advertisers understand this, we all understand that currently they are a little incapacitated. A lot of advertisers don't understand it. Even those who understand it are a little bit incapacitated. But I think in the interest of getting this economic wheel to move again, I think you need to nudge the advertisers and you need to give them a helping hand. I believe this simple move of affording amortization of advertising expenditure would have done a whole lot of good to the economy.
For the economy.
Imagine if I went out and bought a new car, or if I went out and bought a new suit, or if I went out and bought a new house. I mean, there has to be some stimulus for me to do that. Somebody offers me a promotion, somebody offers me a 20% off on a new car, somebody offers me something else, and all that is heavily advertised. I'll ultimately get taken in and buy.
Yeah.
So it's not as if people don't have money. Those who have money have also now not got used not to spend. Because
so you're saying advertising should have been incentivized, maybe advertising expenditure amortized over 3 to 5 years, and that would have led to demand, which would have improved the whole economy.
It's a brand building exercise. It is an investment, and should not be taken as luxury expense.
Okay, I'll just come back to you. Let's take that to Anil Singh if we can. Anil Singh, come in here on your reading of what the government has, of course, announced for the Indian economy, but also the opportunities that you believe now that India needs to capitalize on and entrepreneurs need to capitalize on in the days ahead.
So, okay, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being here. But I don't want to I don't have the expertise or the in-depth knowledge of commenting on that. But I like to comment in a little different way, approach it from our point of view.
Yes.
The 20,000, what was it?
20 lakh crore, yeah.
20 lakh crore stimulus was no mention of anything to do with sport or sporting events. Or anything connected to that. There was no such mention in that. A. B, I think we're still catching up on the old issues that still linger between promoters and sponsors and promoters of sporting properties vis-a-vis sponsors, which is the double taxation, the GST, which we are still facing from the old draconian rule that was there, that we as an industry were not able to be truly recognized or truly sort of endorsed, if I may put it that, a little more fly by night, when that was the period when this law was passed in terms of the taxation. So what we are facing presently is that the monies that we have, all our expenditures, we have to give the GST to our suppliers. But our GST goes into the government and we are still paying that. So we don't get that offset. So there's a double taxation thing, like a double situation that we are facing as an industry. So I think to start off with, that's something which is never right, which is not even correct, which is not even right, needs to be corrected. So I think that's a better place for me as a person in the world of sport and in the world of sport to be able to sort of hope that these are the first steps that can be taken to make life easier for us.
Anil, what happens to events, sporting events? Airtel Delhi half marathon was not just a sporting event; it was a social movement. It had social impact, and it created its downward economy in terms of a spiral impact on lots of stakeholders. The Stanchard Mumbai Marathon, the New York Marathon, the other sporting events. Do you see them coming back soon? And
You know, it's a fantastic, it's a good question because we're all. See, I think first of all there are two types of sport. If I have two types of approach to sport, one is spectatorial sport. This is what we watch, and we as people react to how it unfolds in front of us. There's always a winner and a loser. Watching a tennis match, watching a cricket match, watching a football match. But on the other side of the canvas lies the entire thing called participative sport. And the difference between the two is that on a global sporting event like the Tata Mumbai Marathon, like you said, the Airtel Delhi Half Marathon, both leaders, Tata Mumbai Marathon is the 6th largest event in the world. The Airtel Delhi Half is the #1 half marathon on planet Earth. So for these events, it's everybody is a winner. You've got 50,000 people along with the professionals on a starting line, each one with their own story, each one being it's a very different psyche in terms of what sport, the fabric of sport is. But what is interesting is ours is a very inclusive. It's everybody coming out, everybody coming together, everybody, the city, the entire city becomes a background, and that's when you see what the fabric of that city is. So from that point of view, there is a fear that, when will that happen? When will that really be able to put on? Because that's, on a day like Airtel Delhi Half Marathon or the Tata Mumbai, you have about 300, 400,000 people coming together, whether it's spectators, sponsors, partners, runners, with 55,000 runners in these events. So, we hope that we can kick it off, but I think that a vaccine is something we all pray for at the earliest. So
sure.
It's still, in sport, there's like they say, the new normal in sport. I don't know what new normal of sport is. Sport is simple. Sport is passion and connect. It's not a complicated fundamental like a business or like.
Well, the new normal right now perhaps is without spectators, sport without spectators.
Right. So, fantastic, and I'm all for it. And we must encourage anything that allows sport, because sport has two sides. One is for the world out there to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Because that just completely motivates you, lifts you up. Sport is not that magic, and that's why it's so great.
Well,
it's the only true reality show. But my point was that, yes, so from that point of view, from the players' point of view, for them to keep in touch and train and be. But for this business side of things, there is no way that I don't have spectators, a client cannot engage, I cannot touch and feel the brand. Sport is, after all, which is right there. Live is live. So from the point of view of business, there is a huge lacuna that will happen, and you can't new normal that lacuna, because sport is about.
So we come back to you, Anil, on what the future of sports is, and how does the government do its bit to get the economy back, so that the brands that support the sport can support its going forward. At this point, let's get Mr. Rajiv Kumar Vij, who's the chairman of Cars on Red. Rajiv, your business is the business of mobility. It depends on when tourists are coming to the country, when people are flying, when people are going from one city to another. In the last 60 odd days, your business has been brought to ground zero. How do you see the economic stimulus and today's announcement on SMEs impacting your sector, and what are the asks that you have of the government?
Thank you, Anurag. I'm sorry, I am not updated with what the announcements today have been, but as you know, the whole travel, tourism, hospitality, aviation, our ground transportation as an industry, we've been quite disappointed with the fact that our entire sector was completely ignored by the government, and I don't know why was it ignored, because it contributes tremendously to the GDP, it delivers massive amount of employment, and it's a sector which has been hit hardest in the economy. But that is as it is. I think the government, as Mr. Balsara was saying a little while earlier, the government has come up with some reforms, and I think our sector is also crying for some reforms and some support, which is not in terms of a stimulus, but in terms of actually promoting tourism, actually promoting people to travel. Our honorable Prime Minister has been saying that everybody should travel to 15 destinations in the country. I think besides making that statement, we would really like some way to incentivize people to go on domestic tourism post this COVID period, because the situation is that while Indians hopefully would not want to travel overseas, and a massive amount of money Indians spent overseas last year. If you look at the figure is that roughly 1,65,000 crores was spent by Indians on overseas holiday trips. Now, if that kind of money is spent by Indians in their domestic holiday trips, maybe driving holidays, taking a car to destinations which are drivable distances, that would give a big boost to this whole sector, which employs almost 5 million people, and carries today a debt burden of over 80,000 crores in terms of vehicle loans.
So what would you have liked to see from the government? Hence, in terms of immediate relief, what, apart the fact that domestic flights are open now, hopefully 8th June onwards, things will start coming back to normal over the next 60 to 90 days. What are your specific requests from the government?
So I think, as far as the specific expectations from the government is concerned, all these sectors obviously will open sooner or later. But I think the demand stimulus is something that we are all looking for. People are concerned, and if you look at some of the other countries, they are even trying to incentivize people who come to their countries. Japan has recently come up with this scheme where they give to everybody who is traveling to Japan some $185 per day. How does the government look at doing these kind of things to incentivize travel, to incentivize tourism within the country? We don't know when foreign travelers will come into India. Hopefully next season they'll come. But we are looking for the government to drive that demand, to drive people to go. Maybe the government servants who are least impacted with this COVID, because they have all got their salaries, none of them has lost their jobs. Maybe they should be incentivized to travel domestic on holidays, and even otherwise, all the employers can be.
But are you seeing? Does that mean you are seeing you are optimistic for the auto sector? There are rays of hope at this point, with hopes of driving holidays, also with hopes of people choosing not to take public transport but relying on personal vehicles, commercial vehicles, and also rather by commercial vehicles, of course, I mean office vehicles, and also personal two-wheelers, rather than public transport. So are those all rays of hope for the auto sector?
My understanding is that as far as the auto sector is concerned, the demand for personal
Mr. Singh, I'm just coming to.
Demand for personal vehicles should grow, but will people be buying more vehicles, or will people be subscribing to more vehicles? Because there is this new concept of subscription, and people are looking at more flexible ways of owning vehicles, whether two-wheelers or cars, and I think that is something which will drive the demand. That hopefully will become the new way of owning cars, and I'm seeing that all the OEMs are trying to drive subscription as a significant tool to drive demand, because they want to make it easier for customers to own dedicated cars with them. You are absolutely right that people don't want to use cars which are being used by multiple people during the day, but even on a dedicated car, customers are not willing to make really long-term commitments. They would want to have more flexibility, an ability to exit if they can't afford it at some time.
Okay, point taken. I'll come back to you in just a bit. Let's take that across to Mr. Gupta, if we can, at this point. Mr. Gupta, Dr. Gupta, your first assessment, of course.
Dr. Gupta, we know you're a doctor, but we are looking at you as right now an entrepreneur who runs a healthcare enterprise. You run a leading hospital in Noida and Felix. So tell us, for the healthcare sector and for an entrepreneur in the healthcare sector? Has the government done enough? If yes, what? And if you want the government to do more, what would that be?
And particularly because the healthcare sector has seen announcements and has been prioritized right now by the government, given the situation. You can just unmute yourself, sir, and then go ahead. Just unmute yourself, sir, Dr. Gupta. Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you that government has announced around 20 lakhs crore for this COVID pandemic package, and out of that around 1.92 lakh crore, means around 10% of this total package is going for the healthcare sector. But I will tell you that we are investing around 1.02% of our GDP regularly on healthcare sector, and this is lowest among developing country. We are not talking about developed countries. Even WHO recommends around we should invest around 5% of our GDP on healthcare. Even BRICS countries, except India, they are investing around 3.5 to 4% on their healthcare sector. Italy, US, we have seen the status there in this during this pandemic, how they were suffering from this pandemic, and they are investing around more than 10%. So this is the right time we should think over on healthcare sector, because this is the right time to reform our policies so that we can increase our if you see this package also, this is only 1% of GDP. If you see 10%, then they have given extra 1%, means already we are investing around 1.02, and it will include 1% more, then it will be around more than 2%. Okay, so still there is a huge demand for fund in healthcare sector. And I will tell you one thing more. In India, healthcare sector is dominated by private sector. Around 70% of the beds, OPD, IPD and other services, they are provided by the private sector only, and 30% is provided by the government sector. Therefore, government should involve active participation of private sector is needed to fight this pandemic also. And I am telling you that in all government, like in all hospitals, private hospitals, and they are serving the population of government employees like CGHS, ECHS, ESIs, and we have huge pendencies of our amount dues in these sectors, and this is more than 1 year, 2 years, and more than 6 months. There is a long debtors list of private hospital. This is due towards the government. I will request government, they should release these payments immediately so that we can have a cash flow liquidity with us. And they've also announced some this is a good announcement, and they have touched most of the areas also. But I think there are a lot of conditions, like they are giving a 20% of the working capital, but they are
we're beginning to run out of time now. Dr. Gupta, I'll come back to you after the break.
Thank you.
Mr. Sikand, come in here. Mr. Sikand, come in here. Your first.
Nishant, you've been a serial entrepreneur. This is your third startup. You sold your first 2 startups. It's in the fintech space. So, tell us, what has the government done to enhance digital inclusion in the financial space? Because you can talk about demand, but if you can't pay for whatever products and services in a digital economy. And second, the question that the startups may not have enough cash to survive. They're low on revenue, they're low on cash. So 60-70% of the startups may actually go out of business in these 30 to 60 days.
Okay, thanks guys for having me on this panel. Let me start with a very optimistic note for all of us. India is a very resolute country, and we have been brought up like that against a lot of constraints. So today also, if the government has made an extraordinary effort, it's very difficult in this unprecedented environment to get everything absolutely perfect. We have great opportunities, and the path for India is still growing on its cases. It has to reserve its cash for times ahead. If we all ask for just incentives from the government today itself, which obviously some of the sectors, absolutely the hospitality industry is what really needs it. Some of the sectors need to be given those skewed benefits. Let's be selfish towards those industries, and the other guys who are asking for too much right now, I think they're being a little over-expecting from the government because there's a limited amount of funds available. But let me tell you the good things. The good things, the cost of company operations have gone down. The people's attritions have gone down. The right talent is being there in the companies. Absolutely, those people are losing jobs have to be taken care of, and there are ways to do that. But one of the things that the government needs to learn, this government, is the implementation. The problem with this government is great outdoors, but the implementation, I've never seen any of the earlier startup funds reach a real startup. Probably it reaches the wrong ones, so the transparency is critical. So like in the media industry, entertainment works, probably the country needs to work on implementation. One of the things that I have an innovative idea, probably I would love to give from today we all are at a revenue which has gone down to 1/4 of our revenue. From tomorrow onwards, if I grow my revenue, because technology is going to grow big time. You guys are on this call with this seamless technology because of technology people. Can India compete with manufacturing in the short term with China? Probably not. But can India be ahead on technology for the world? Absolutely.
So technology is a big opportunity, is what you're saying. You also saying that the devil lies in the details. Implementation is what needs to be done. Plans can be announced, stimulus can be announced, but implementation is what is lacking so far. But Savita Iramat, let me get you in here on your initial outlook for the advertising and the entertainment sector. Are you disappointed that there's been nothing so far for your sectors and your industries? And what are the changing trends, the new normal for this sector?
See, as we all hear that there is a huge package to restructure the industries and stuff like that. But unfortunately, again, as I was saying, that entertainment has been ignored totally. And we contribute a huge amount in our economy, and we should not be ignored. And we already work on a deficit of 6% in GST, whereas we pay 18 and we only get to recover 12. There is always a 6% GST deficit we work on as industry, which we have been fighting for. And at this point of time, I think we also need some kind of, release when cinema halls are packed and our monies are stuck in productions and the films are ready and there's nothing. We are sitting on those investments. And I really wonder why we are not getting any kind of, attention. And we are looking for something like, getting at least GST relief or TDS taxes relief or some things. And we anyway, mind you, are not treated even equal in bank loans or anything. So we all other industries for some reason has been considered as industry, and we still don't get, being an industry, don't get benefits of industry in most of the cases. So we definitely contribute a lot, and entertainment has a big scope. Even Atmanirbhar Bharat, and even we have recently seen the magic of Ramayana and Mahabharata getting repeated audience in such numbers. So definitely we have lot more stories to say, a lot more things to talk about.
And another of the changing trends is this OTT platforms,
Yes.
And films getting released directly to OTT platforms. Is that a new trend that's here to stay? And if that's here to stay, then what happens to multiplexes and conventional theaters?
It is more of a desperate sale at this point of time, to be very honest. That's a solution when we are even my film Jhund is also getting media attention on this same thing. But at the same time, I must tell you that when your film is ready for release and the date was announced almost, and we got stuck because of the release, and we all want to get our investments back as soon as possible because there are huge investments gone into it. And we are getting, yes, at the same time, OTT also at this point of time needs new content. There's no shoot happened in last 3 months. And next 2 months also, there'll be nothing new on those channels. And this is a win-win situation for both to have reach to a good figure and utilize this opportunity rather than making it a regular practice. But as an obviously there is a big talk going on with theater owners. They don't want, those associations are objecting to those kind of deals. But at the same time, no one is coming forward to help us also at the same time. So we have to take our own calls and our own decisions at this point of time. But yes, so this won't be the new norm, definitely not, because theater is definitely a bigger screen and that's what will remain as it is always.
Okay, Dr. Batra.
Sam, you talk to large business owners, you talk to promoters, CEOs. What is it that you hear from them about the future? How are they thinking about the economy? What are their expectations from the economy? Give us a sense into the minds of your clients. Sam, unmute yourself. Sam, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, we'll give him okay.
The sense I have is that India Incorporated is really in despair right now. I think they are terribly concerned as to how they're going to get through to this year. I think with the exception of say the FMCG industry, you know, which is sort of firing to the extent of, I would say, 75%, most other industries are in dire straits. Like if you take consumer durables, automobiles, tourism, hotels, a lot of services, they are all concerned as to how and when demand will come back. They are also, you know, being good employers. They want to be prudent. They not take rash decisions. But many of them are left with, you know, absolutely no alternative but to, you know, lay off some people, to resort to salary cuts. Some of those actually who want to produce at 100% capacity, especially the food companies and the FMCG companies, they are not able to because, you know, the workers are not available. Many of the, you know, companies that were summer focus, like say, you know, all the beverage companies, the air conditioning companies are really badly off because, you know, many of them had stocked up from November, December onwards to meet the demand from February to May.
Like Blue Star, your client Blue Star had a new commercial ready with you know, Virat Kohli, and
correct.
They have to can it, you know. And summer for most product and services has gone, you know, 10%, 20% at best, and that is 40% of their overall business, if not 50.
So even the entertainment cinema is gone zero, absolutely zero.
Yes.
You know. Yes.
Sir, one thing also, the services sector is 2/3 of our GDP. Now the advertising sector and the media services sector is part of that services sector. And you are still a very large Indian company. But there are a lot of smaller entrepreneurs in the marketing services space. You see a lot of smaller, medium-sized companies not being there in the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, I think I'm a little sort of optimistic about Indians and their adaptability. You know, I think we are good at what they call jugaad. So I think many of us hopefully will find some ways to survive. You know, it's a nice thing to say that, you know, some of them will collapse or some of them will give up, or, you know, many of them will come together. But again, I've seen it's not very easy also to come together. It may sound very rosy on paper or on plans for a management consultant to say, you know, look, let me put 5 small agencies together and you form one largish one. But I think all Indian entrepreneurs have a strong sense of ownership and a mind of their own. So, you know, getting them together is difficult. I think a few who were possibly already weak prior to the coronavirus, don't forget, you know, for us, it has been a double whammy because January, February and March were itself very poor months.
Correct.
I mean, we had already a very poor first quarter of the year. So this coronavirus has come on the back of a very poor quarter.
Added salt to the wound.
Yes. So
Anil, at this point, let's talk about the experience. You'll have to unmute yourself, Anil. The experiential economy. Do you think the experiential economy will ever come back in the way? My question to you, Anil Singh, is do you think the experiential economy, you know, your marathons are part of it, the water sports that you do is part of it, music festivals are part of it. Will the experiential economy come back in the next 12 months? And will it ever come back in the way it was in the next 24 months?
So I honestly believe that we as humanity have learned so much about who we are, what we are, through this absolute unprecedented situation. So I think not only will we come back, I think we will come back much, much, much stronger.
And why is that? Why is that? Give me granularity on that.
And I'll tell you. Because I think it's not even a complicated thought process. We have come to appreciate the things we took for granted. Be it sport, be it live sport, be it advertising, be it anything, be it our having meals or anything that we as free human beings enjoy. So I think, and also in terms of what we are, our empathy, I think everybody's empathy has hugely sort of, been tested. And I think we'll come back a huge new leaf, in my opinion. And whatever sporting events, especially our kind that brings cities together, I think we'll come back much stronger.
Any timeline you're looking at?
If you want to know when it will be back to normal and even bigger, when there's a vaccine. That's true. Because the question I was trying to also ask all the panelists, and it's a question. It's that are we ahead of the curve? We are talking about getting life back to normal in many ways. Are we really ahead of the curve? So, I believe that there could be a second coming in July, something in August. So I don't know if we're ahead of the curve. So we are not ahead of the curve, but to want all this, travel, cars, this, that, spend money traveling towards Indian destinations, whatever it may be. I don't know if the time is right for that, for us to be able to judge that based on today's how we would react today. But I think sport, I think everything in life will come back so much better, so much stronger, so much more robust, and so much more with a bigger purpose. I think the purpose of all that we do in our lives will definitely be more relevant to society, or more relevant to anything for that matter. So I think yes, but when 100% when there's a vaccine, for sure. And how long? And I think worst comes to worst, it should be no more than the next 10 to 12 months.
Okay, Dr. Gupta, why don't you come in here on
Dr. Gupta, I want to give you a statistic. The FICCI healthcare industry survey 2 weeks back shared that $2 billion, around 15,000 crores of healthcare revenue loss happened in these 65 days because the non-COVID treatments went for a toss. And this doesn't count the neighborhood MSMEs in healthcare, the neighborhood clinics. If you add that, it's possibly another 2,000-3,000 crores. So tell us, economically, how does a healthcare entrepreneur sustain his or her operations?
You'll have to unmute yourself, Dr. Gupta.
So, yeah. Out of our total revenue that comes from OPD, lab, pharmacy, elective surgeries, that is shut down to zero level. Even in patient, those who are coming for elective surgery, normal fever cough and normal IPD patient, normal admission patient, they have been reduced. Total revenue is decreased from 60 to 70% of all the hospitals, major hospitals. Even those hospitals, those who were based on the international patients, they have reduced to 20%. They have lost around 80% of the revenue. And those lower hospitals, those nursing home, small nursing home clinics, they have lost their 90% of the revenue. Means this COVID pandemic have affected healthcare sectors depending upon the size of their hospital. Top hospitals have been also affected, and lower bottoms of hospitals also have been affected. And it is very difficult to recover from this position because most of the government personnel or most of the government authorities, they think that healthcare sector is doing good, but really it is not doing good because of we have lost all the revenue from OPD, IPD, lab, elective surgeries, pharmacies, home care. They have
hence, Dr. Gupta, what should be done? Because this debate about lives and livelihood is about saving lives. If people are alive, if people are working, if people are functional. So what should be? So the healthcare sector is possibly the most important sector that needs to be nurtured. So hence, what can the government do to nurture the healthcare sector?
Yeah. So I would like to tell you that government has a very positive opinion regarding the healthcare sector or regarding the reforms in the healthcare sector. I have like 1 or 2 meetings with the NITI Aayog also, and they were planning a very good reform all across India, including Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, for providing healthcare facilities for all the Indian populations through Ayushman and other schemes. But before that has to be implemented, the COVID pandemic came in the picture. And now I think they are more serious towards it, and they will definitely commit a huge funds and huge infrastructure for the healthcare sector. And they are well known that private sector is playing major role in providing healthcare services. Therefore, the land allotment, now it is allotted at the commercial rate. It should be a subsidized rate for the healthcare sector. And there is no difference on the rate of interest also. We are getting the same rate as other industries. Like that, there is no concession on the ROE
also. You are saying
also.
The land to hospitals should be given on a concessional rate.
Yeah.
The capital that is provided by banks to healthcare institutions should be at a substantially low interest rate. These are two specific things.
Yeah,
Vishal,
because whenever we are, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Gupta, you can make your final comment.
Yeah, so I would like to tell you, because most of us, we think that is a social service, and if we are providing social services, then we should have something support from the government also, like providing land at subsidized rate and providing loans at subsidized rate, and providing one single window for statutory compliances. There are so many, around 30 statutory compliances. We have to apply for that, and this took a lot of time.
I think Savita wants to come in.
Vishal, we can take Savita first. Savita, what is there on the content in the film domain? Last 60 days, content production is zero.
I want to add something.
What should the government do to say? People have been consuming content. The one thing that has been the saving grace is whether either consumption of news channels or the content on OTT or the Ramayana, Mahabharata. So what should the government do for this sector?
With the new kind of, no, we are entering into the new kind of world now altogether. And most of the shoots are going to happen in closed doors, and we don't have those many number of studios. And we don't have even a land available outside Bombay. Anywhere, and no government is supporting us. We need to have much more larger, content is waiting to explode in India. But we don't have facilities, we don't have technicians out of Andheri. We need to have infrastructure in other cities as well. And recently, Indore has been, shortlisted by Netflix to have a studio.
Especially when the content gets created in Indian languages. So you have to go down to
languages, even outside India, even to Bangladesh, even neighboring countries are consuming our content only. And we have so much of scope, and we need land, we need more studios. We just can't finish our backlog only at this point of time, because now the rush in the studios bookings and all is going to be in waiting because outdoor shoots are out. So we definitely need infrastructure support at this point of time, and we need lending of money or something from the government, and the banks have to come forward to support us in this.
Okay, Savita. Vishal, since you represent the startups and a typical Indian entrepreneur who survives and thrives by being innovative, I won't use the word jugaad, but frugal innovation. I keep saying on this show that Indian entrepreneurs will find a way, and we shouldn't expect from the government. And to those people who criticize the government on execution, in the last 10 days, the government has made sure that the refunds to a lot of enterprises are coming. So the government is front-loading action. So I must say this on this show, that the government is executing. The cynicism that the government is not executing is absolutely wrong. So Vishal, what do you say to entrepreneurs watching this show?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to tell everyone, we all know the pessimism across the industry. We can't keep going back and keep talking about that. The only thing that I question the government on for us is that they keep saying this is 30,000 crore for the startup. When did the last startup get that money? Give my destiny in my hand. Tell me, okay, hey, if I employ the next person, this is the benefit that you get in the company as a tax benefit or your TDS or your cash flow benefit. Make it simpler. Tell me what destiny can I do myself. I cannot wait for me to be defined as an MSME, SME, and wait for a bank to tell me, which finally will go to people who are obviously more aligned to them. Make my destiny in my hand. Let the market dynamics automatically come back. Tell technology and startups, guys, here is something specifically if you do in your industry, I will give you directly in your hand. If you want employment to come in, tell me I employ the next person back in my company, and I give you 50% of that employment, no income tax for that employee at all. So those are the kind of things allow us to directly use it ourselves. Do not allow that. This government has a small challenge of being very strong in their fist. Hey, I want to run it this way. let the dynamics of the market do it. Tell me exactly, hey guys, startups, tomorrow onwards, you employ one more person, this is what you get. Tomorrow onwards, if you want any benefits on the business side, you increase your revenue by 10%, but your tax rate will only increase by X%. Give us those things in our hand and we will run the country absolutely perfectly. The teams are very motive, entrepreneurs are very motive. They will make it happen.
Mr. Vij, you heard all the panelists. Tell me, if a stage 2 comes of economic stimulus for the travel, hospitality domain, what would you like to see in it specifically?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the drivers are severely impacted. For the last 2.5 months, they are all sitting at home. As an industry, we are trying to provide them support in terms of how they survive. One of the things that, of course, I want the state governments to keep in mind, they find that an additional tax on fuel is one tool that they have to earn revenue. My request to state governments will be, don't do that, at least for our sector, because as it is, we are impacted, and an additional cost is not something which is good for us. But these drivers and a lot of the cars that are owned by them, they are all under debt. Postponing their EMI is a good step, but giving them relief on interest during this period, at least that is something that the government should do, which will go a long way to make them feel better and to go through this crisis. But as I said earlier, I think the demand push is something that is required. Our sector, incidentally, one part of the sector which provides services to the large corporates, the corporate customers don't get the input credit on this service when they pay GST. And if that is an area which the government can think of, that will also give a significant boost to this sector in terms of demand. I think those are the kind of things that the government can think of.
Thank you. So we want to end this show by quickly asking one prediction for the Indian economy 90 days from now. Savita, we'll start with you first. One prediction for the Indian economy and business 90 days from now.
I'm sure entertainment is going to be back and rocking very soon.
No, but in theaters? In theaters?
90 days
Not
from
in
now
theaters.
when we talk to you.
Not in theaters, but OTT, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A prediction for the Indian economy, Anil?
Well, I just hope whatever they do now, because I think we should be past the talking stage. I think we need to be in an action state and actually to roll whatever we want to roll out, because we're already so deep into it. And with no clarity, the other months are going to look even tougher. And it's a very dark road, but we don't know. So hence, I think clarity would be the most critical need of the hour, and something what we're doing, let's do it now.
Okay, Visham Sikand, one prediction for the Indian economy 90 days from now.
Be ready for a lot of surprise innovations. The way you see entertainment, the way you do business, everything's going to be surprise innovation for all of us. Be delighted and be ready
Absolutely.
for it.
And I think that's your message as well to entrepreneurs. Come up with surprise innovations right now.
They're going to do that. India's Jugaad will lead to the innovations. Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. D.K. Gupta?
I like to correct. It's not jugaad. It's like getting, adapting to the situation.
Yes, Dr. Gupta.
Yeah, the healthcare sector is going to bounce back in a V-shaped manner in next 90 days, because there will be a lot of involvement of technology also, like telemedicine will bounce back.
Sure. So Rajiv, Vij?
I think our sector has taken some very effective measures in terms of giving comfort to the consumer in terms of his health and safety. And in 90 days' time, I have no doubt that the sector will bounce back and we'll be back on track.
Sam, you have the last laugh on the show. If you had to see
I hope he laughs.
your business, our industry, 90 days from now, where would it be?
So my expectation is 90 days, which would take us to end of August. I think end of August, I would expect ADEX, which is our advertising market, to be about 75% of last year.
Fantastic.
And I think ADEX, you must understand, is a good barometer of how Indian industry is performing. So that means my expectation is that, we would be 75% of last year.
That's
and also my expectation is that by Diwali, hopefully, Indians would find a way out of all this. Even if the coronavirus continues, we will have a new normal, and we should be able to get back to life as
Well, that certainly is positive and optimistic news to look forward to. Rajivich?
Yeah, as I said, I think we are all raring to go. We are seeing some travel beginning to happen. The hotels have opened, the restaurants have opened, the airlines domestic have opened, and I think the business should get back in 90 days. It's not natural for human beings.
Okay, it's been a tough 90 days, but now it's time to look forward to an optimistic 90 days and hopefully some sort of positivity in adversity. I think that's a good message, and that's a good point to close on today. So my thanks to all of our panelists for joining us. Thanks to Dr. Batra as well. That's all we have on today's episode of this NewsX Business World Special Series.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.